are united in diversity. We are very heterogeneous in our opinion.
We are doing this in our open democracies, discussing this all open and loud, and I'm not for that.
What is European Union? What is freedom? How we learn together.
The obvious question is, what is the EU doing? What is our plan? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of Politico's AI and Tech Week here in Brussels at the Royal Library of Belgium. I'm Laurens Cerullis. I'm cybersecurity editor and deputy technology editor at Politico. As we reported this morning, at the crack of dawn, the EU clinched a deal on the AI omnibus. That's the first piece of digital simplification law to make it to the finish line. And the deal was struck at 4:30 in the morning, down the road at the Council of the EU, in the same negotiation room that negotiators met to clinch the original deal on the Artificial Intelligence Act that's now being reformed. It's a nice little detail that you may have read in this morning's Morning Tech newsletter, which was out at 7 and had all the analysis. So what a way to start day 3 of this AI and Tech Week. Today, we'll dive into what the AI Omnibus deal means for Europe and for how it is developing a competitive edge on artificial intelligence technology. We'll do so in an interview with European Innovation Commissioner Ekaterina Zarajeva. And we also have a special panel inviting 2 European tech founders on stage. And we're very excited to get their sense of what this means for how Europe can compete and can develop its own technology sector on the ground. We'll also dive into other aspects of the tech sector, including what Europe plans to do with its new microchips plan, the CHIPS Act 2.0. And we'll talk about that shortly after this morning's opening rounds. We'll also talk about digital competition rules and how they are faring in making the continent more competitive in the tech sector, and how Europe is veering into quantum computing. All of that today. Before we kick off, I'd like to thank our partners for making the summit possible. Our leading partner is Accenture, and our presenting partners are Broadcom, Google, Uber, and Visa. As you know, at Politico, we love to debate. We love to exchange thoughts and have spicy conversations about policy. And so we do encourage you to share your thoughts on everything that you're hearing today on platforms including X, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, and others. You can use the hashtag PoliticoTechAI for that. Some of our sessions later today will include a Q&A for you here in the room to ask questions. Our moderators will let you know when those Q&As take place, and when they do, a mic will be coming around for you to ask your question. During our networking breaks, you can connect with other people here at the conference, with our Politico Pro staff, and also with our reporters, who are always interested to hear if you've got news, tips, gossip, if you've heard interesting things. Do talk to our reporters about those things. To open today's program, we've done a little bit of an impromptu opening. We've had to change tactics because of the deal this morning. We want to dive right into the AI Omnibus with a bit of analysis from our senior technology reporter, and may I add, star AI reporter, Peter Haak. And so Peter's going to be joining us on stage and talking a bit through what happened in the early hours of Thursday morning and the negotiations on the Omnibus. Peter, please join us. Peter, thank you. Early morning for you, late night. There was a night, but it was a very, very short one. You reported on the outcome of the negotiations on the AI Omnibus that started yesterday evening. We saw white smoke at 4:30 in the morning this morning. We suspect some of the people in that room may still be sleeping now, but you're up and you're giving us the analysis of what happened. So we just want to start with the very basics of the negotiations and where the EU landed on reforming its AI rules. What was agreed overnight?
Yes, exactly. A lot of them are still sleeping, and one of them is even on a plane to Finland. The Executive Vice President, Hanna Virkkunen, is flying to Finland. But what was agreed, I think there are 3 points to highlight. First of all, a key part of the law, the rules on high-risk AI applications will be delayed with more than a year. Originally, they were set to kick in this August, but they will be delayed until December next year. Then secondly, there will also be a new ban, a prohibition on notification apps, so AI-powered notification apps, so systems that really can generate an AI version of people's intimate parts or even sexual activity. That is, of course, cooked up after the whole scandal around Grok that allowed users to generate people in bikinis or even nude. And then third of all, and that was something that was closely watched in the final sprint, that is industrial AI applications. They will be exempt from the scope of the law, so that there are products covered by EU's machinery rules, that those will have to abide by AI requirements under the sectoral law and not under the AI Act, so they will have an exemption.
And that is a bit of an unexpected change that came in quite late. Obviously, negotiators already met last week, and so my question is, what changed between the last round of negotiations and now? How come they came to an agreement now where they couldn't last time around?
Well, I think the time element is there very important. There is in this file time pressure because the high-risk AI rules that are now going to be delayed. Initially, they would kick in by early August, so time was really ticking on this file. But also another time element is that Germany at the last minute did really a bit to exempt these industrial AI applications, and last week they didn't have the support for that, but then the talks back then collapsed also because of the pressure from Germany, and I think that gave an extra week for Germany to lobby, to hit the phones and really get that support. And I think it was already actually kind of agreed upon yesterday at the Council, where EU countries really backed Germany's demand, also because of the time pressure, because they had the feeling like, let's not jeopardize the timeline, and that's what set up the deal of this morning.
And the pressure came from no less than German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. He got involved. It's when AI becomes Chefsache, as they say in German. What's your analysis here? How much of this is a German win in the end?
I think it's very much a German win because Merz, as you mentioned, he made a personal fight out of this. I think a month ago at Hannover Messe, which is a big German trade fair, he personally told to the CEOs of some of the biggest German tech companies like Siemens, Bosch, that he would fight for a more enabling AI regime for these companies. So he really said, like, I'm gonna fight for this, and he got it. He got the exemption for machinery. They wanted a bit more, so I wouldn't say that it's an outright victory, but it's a win because there was also a bit of an unusual dynamic. Normally, Parliament decides its position and Council decides its position, but now there was a bit of an alliance between the CDU members in the European Parliament. For example, German European Parliament lawmaker Axel Voss was pushing hard for this, and he actually kind of teamed up with Merz, pushing that in the Council. Even this morning it was it caught my eye how Axel Voss thanked Chancellor Merz in his press release. He said, like, we owe a big deal to Merz on this. So there was a bit of a liaison there, an alliance between the CDU in Parliament and then Friedrich Merz in the Council.
So Merz dug in his heels. Someone else whom this matters a lot to is obviously European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. This is a core part of her agenda to simplify EU rules, to make do business more easily in Europe and to decrease the pressure of regulation. If you just have to step back for a second and look at sort of von der Leyen's broader simplification agenda, how important is this deal on AI, and what effectively will it change in how Europe competes on AI? Because it is an incredibly competitive landscape, obviously.
Well, you're completely right. I mean, this is core to von der Leyen's agenda. She was also quick to respond this morning on. She already put out a post on X saying that this is really bringing, I think it was safe and still innovation-friendly AI rules. Yet I've heard along the journey of this file that a lot of people actually doubt whether this is real simplification. Because if you look at the core of the deal is the delay of the rules. But that doesn't mean that these rules won't kick in. No, they will just kick in 1.5 years later. So the question is like, is that a real simplification? Also, they're adding a new ban on certain AI systems, so the unification apps, which is actually adding something to the AI law instead of removing something. So I've heard a lot of critics saying like, this is not real simplification. Of course, it will allow people like von der Leyen, Merz, and some people in parliament to sell this as simplification. But the question is really like, will this reduce the burden for industry? And this morning I already saw some very disappointed messages or press releases from industry groups saying like, we're not really convinced that this is the real simplification we wanted. For example, one thing they're not so happy about is watermarking of AI-generated content. That is something that also will kick in August. They asked for a grace period to prepare for, to be better able to label and watermark AI-generated content. And actually, the grace period was now reduced, was shortened compared to the Commission proposal, and they're very disappointed about that specifically.
Okay, super interesting, very mixed bag, and we'll be asking a lot of those questions to European policymakers throughout our program today. We'll try and set up a space for you to take a power nap somewhere in the back. But first, we're going to turn to our next session today, which is digging into the microchips plans that the European Union has as part of its Chips Plan 2.0. We'll be right back with you after a short stage change. And thank you, Peter, for joining us.